Psychiatrists have identified a new mental trauma affecting asylum seekers whose applications to stay in Australia are repeatedly knocked back. A group of experts looking at around 130 refugees and asylum seekers living in the community in Melbourne have reported what they're calling prolonged asylum syndrome. They also found very high levels of depression and post-traumatic stress. Suresh Sundram is presenting the findings at an international psychiatry conference in Hobart today.
Yes, we found that people living in the community who are asylum seekers have extraordinarily high rates of mental illness. In particular, they have rates of major depression of around 50 to 60% and post-traumatic stress disorder of about 40 to 50%.
And you've identified a new problem that's unique to people who've had their applications to stay repeatedly knocked back. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, we've noticed that in people who've had 4 or more rejections, either at the Department of Immigration stage or the Refugee Review Tribunal stage, that these individuals seem to be developing a clinical syndrome which is related to the trauma and stress that they've had before their arrival in Australia, but also this process of refugee determination, which has characterised a great deal of distress and disorder for them, which is different from other syndromes that we've seen in people who've experienced similar types of trauma.
So what can be done to help refugees and asylum seekers who might be experiencing fairly serious mental health issues?
Unfortunately, public mental health services don't have a lot of experience in dealing with asylum seekers who have these types of mental disorders, and similarly, current services that are treating refugees and survivors of torture are already at the limits of their capacity. So in fact, what we think we need to develop is a new service system model for asylum seekers specifically that can address these very high rates of mental disorder and also these unique or different clinical syndromes that we seem to be seeing in asylum seekers.
So are you saying that the current operations are simply not working properly?
I'm saying that the current systems that we have to treat people with mental disorders within the community in general are not sufficiently expert or sufficiently knowledgeable about the types of specific problems that asylum seekers develop, and that services that already are treating refugees and survivors of torture already at the limits of what they're able to do and can't really provide additional services for asylum seekers in the community.
Suresh Sundram in Hobart, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.